Thursday, March 22nd. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we'll talk to Town Council President Eric Steinhilber about their workshop tonight with the Board of Health. Then we talk with Vonna Trudeau of the Tilden Arts Center Director at Cape Cod Community College. She tells us all about their upcoming community production of Urinetown. And finally, School Counseling Department Head Jen Clark joins us to talk about the new schedule coming to Barnstable High School this fall. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The Barnstable Youth Commission will be hosting their second annual Youth Job Fair on Tuesday, March 27th from 2:30 to 5 p.m. at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. This is a free opportunity for kids to learn how to interview, about the importance of a resume, complete a job application, and apply for an available position. All are welcome to attend and participate. If you are a business that will be hiring youth, please contact Amy Harwood at 508-862-4638 to find out how you can take part in this event. The Hyannis Fire Department is offering Stop the Bleed training free of charge to anyone in the community who is interested in learning basic life-saving bleeding control skills. This program teaches basic bleeding control skills that any person is capable of performing. The goal is to create a safer community by empowering our citizens with the knowledge and skills necessary to save a life. They will be offering 2 classes on National Stop the Bleed Day on March 31st at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Class times are 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Individuals can sign up by going to bleedingcontrol.org and selecting Find a Class. You can also email your interest to mmedeiros@hyannisfire.org, or you can call 508-775-1300 and request the voicemail of EMS Officer Medeiros. The First Tee program of Massachusetts continues its offerings at the Hyannis Golf Course this spring. The First Tee program emphasizes 9 core values: honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, respect, confidence, responsibility, perseverance, courtesy, and judgment. Through golf and core values, your kids and teens will learn life skills like making proper introductions, managing emotions, resolving conflicts, setting up step-by-step goals, planning for the future, and appreciating diversity. Online registration information can be found at massgolf.com. Up next, Town Council President Eric Steinhilber. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today. It's not a regular Town Council meeting this week. You are having a joint workshop with the Board of Health this Thursday.
That's correct. As most people will recall, back in 2016, state of Massachusetts had a referendum whether or not to legalize cannabis sales in Massachusetts. That did pass. And since that time, the state has been working through various, regulations and kind of infrastructure framework around this to bring that about. The town of Barnstable itself did not vote for legalization, but obviously we're part of the state here. So
right.
We put a temporary moratorium on this. Runs through December of 2018, but we do need to make a decision this year. Whether or not that will turn into a permanent ban, or we will kind of create the local zoning, if you will, to allow that type of retail sales within the town of Barnstable. Since the residents of the town of Barnstable voted not to legalize retail cannabis, it's up to the town council to decide which way we go on it. If it had been the reverse, and a city council or board of selectmen decided to go to a permanent ban, and their community had voted to legalize, you have to have a second vote on a proposed permanent ban. But we're not in that situation, so we can, as an elected body of the town, can make that decision either way.
Okay. Now, let's go over a little bit what's going to go on at the meeting. It is a joint workshop with the Board of Health, so you will be joined by the members of the Board of Health, as well as, I assume, the Health Department Director, Tom McKean, and you're going to have a moderator. What is the role going to be of the moderator?
Well, we wanted to keep the workshop moving along. We were able to get a volunteer moderator from Cape Cod Community College, Maureen O'Shea. And I believe she's worked with some of the town staff before, or just through different channels. But we're going to have her come in and kind of kick us off. Our first couple presenters are just to give a lay of the land, if you will, with the state regulations and kind of the tax implications. So we've asked our town attorney and our finance director to give the council and the Board of Health kind of just the lay of the land, the overall structure of where this is within the state and how it would impact us or possibly impact us, financially. What are the options available in terms of sales tax on retail cannabis? And then once we have that kind of overview, we've invited a panel in, and we want to have a balanced panel, so there's obviously pros and cons here. We have, and we're going to kind of rotate through them. We have Henri Rauschenbach, who's a former state senator here on Cape Cod, but he's a consultant, does a lot of work in healthcare and energy. And then we have our district attorney, Michael O'Keefe. We have Will Luzier. He's with the Marijuana Policy Project. We have Lieutenant John Murphy with the Barnstable Police Department. And then we have Spencer Knowles, who has a group here called Regulate Cape Cod. He's been before the council before in public comment, and I think he's gone before some other towns here on the Cape. And then we have Stephanie Ellis, who's the vice chair of the Barnstable School Committee. So we're going to get different perspectives, obviously, from...
I need a battery.
School department, police
Eric,
department.
I have to have you stop for a second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My earpiece is going crazy. I think I need to get a battery or something. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Thank you. Are you still there, Eric?
Yep. I'm here.
Okay. That was weird. It was going crazy. I could kind of hear you, but there was a noise that was a little louder. So I'm just going to have you go back and just say Stephanie Ellis again, because that was the last thing I kind of could hear.
Okay.
And then continue with what you were saying. I don't know what it was. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then we're going to have Stephanie Ellis speak to us, who's the vice chair of the Barnstable School Committee. So we'll have some varied perspectives on this issue from a number of individuals. And the goal of this really is to provide the council and our Board of Health, because if we did go in the direction of allowing this in town, the Board of Health would obviously be very much involved in it. So we wanted to invite them to this workshop. So designed to educate. We'll have plenty of time for questions, Q&A for the council. And then from here, this is kind of a first step. We will, move in one direction or another based on the will of the council, and come to some type of a resolution on this issue in the coming months.
I think it's smart that you're looking at this ahead of time. You're starting in March. You need to have something decided by December, so it gives you a good amount of time to work on that. Because this is a workshop, there won't be no public comment, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is to educate the council, the Board of Health, with various professionals and different fields, and we wanted to have a balanced panel. And like I said, there will be opportunity for Q&A between the council, the Board of Health, and the panel. And then we'll get that nice overview from a legal perspective as well as a financial tax impact perspective. And then, like I said, this is the first step. And, we hope to address this well before December. We're not going to wait till, the last minute here. But we are under a temporary moratorium through the end of December of this year.
Right. So we'll probably expect to see this, in the summertime or maybe even the early fall. I have a feeling you're not going to be taking this up during the budget process.
No, but again, we're not going to wait till the last minute to kind of settle this. So I think it's not something that we haven't been aware of that was coming. So there's been opportunities for individuals to kind of educate themselves on it as well along the way. But now it's got to a point where most of the regulations are in place by the state. We have a bit of a timeline in front of us now as far as, when people can apply for licenses. Obviously, the moratorium is expiring at the end of this year, so now's the appropriate time to kind of take this up, that we know what the state has laid out in front of us and what our options are as a local community.
Wonderful. If anybody out there is interested, this meeting is going to air live right here on Channel 18. So if people want to see kind of how the conversation goes, I think that's important for people to tune in if this is something that they're interested in. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to chatting with you in a couple of weeks when the Town Council resumes their regular meetings.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Just a reminder, this is a workshop tonight for Town Council. They will meet at 7 o'clock right here in the Town Hall hearing room with the Board of Health. Coming up, School Counseling Department Head Jen Clark, but first, Vonna Trudeau of Cape Cod Community College. Vonna, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about the Tilden Arts Center's spring production of Urinetown. Now, let's kind of start, because I think when people hear Urinetown, they might be a little bit like, I don't know about that. But it's a really interesting play and has, I think it's topical for Cape Cod. So let's start with what it is about.
Absolutely, and I had the same reaction the first time I heard of the show, maybe about 10, 11 years ago. Sort of rolled my eyes and said, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. Is that really the title? And truly that's the subtitle. But Urinetown is it's a fun show. Yes, there's some potty humor in it, but it does, at its core, have a really important message that's vital to Cape Cod, and that is how important clean water is. Mm-hmm. So Greg Kotis, the principal author, really explores what our daily lives might be like if access to clean water for our basic human needs is under attack by a drought or other events that might make water a privilege as opposed to just a general right that we have access to. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. Yes, the title is a little, questionable, but the show itself is comic on so many levels. So while there is this underlying environmental type message, it has a lot of fun sharing that message.
Right. Yeah. So this is a community production. It's not, it's not student run, right. But students are involved with it. But there's so many people in the community. There's the community theater scene on Cape Cod is amazing, and if you are not taking advantage of that, you're really missing out. I mean, from Falmouth all the way to P-Town, there are some wonderful, amazing productions and performances and actors. So I know there's a lot of them that are participating in this production, which I think is exciting.
There are, and you really hit the nail on the head. There's so many opportunities to be involved in the arts on Cape Cod, and you don't have to be on stage to take part in this great community of people. Painters, set construction, stage management, even there's this great word called a dramaturg. If you like research and doing homework on special topics, there's a role for you in being involved in this great theater environment. So we have a cast of, I think it's 25 total in the cast, and we do have students involved. I think there are 6 students. We have some alum involved as stage managers and dramaturgs and props mistresses. And then the cast is rounded out, as you say, from Bourne to Provincetown. We're represented across the board. We can do some name dropping, perhaps. We have some favorites like Daniel Fontenot, Holly Hansen, Ari Liu, Caitlin Mills, even the production team, names you might recognize, like Hannah Carita, Greg Ham, our lighting designer. I'd love to run through all of them, but that might take us all day. But really, it's not only is it a who's who of Cape Cod theater performers and artists, but it's really a strong representation of people who have performed on stages from Bourne to Provincetown. So whether it's Cape Rep, Cape Cod Theatre Company, Cotuit Center for the Arts, Barnstable Comedy Club. These are faces and names that you're going to recognize if you attend any theater on the Cape.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And you're going to do something a little special with this production in the lobby, before performances and probably during intermission if there is one. You're going to have local water advocacy groups to give information, which I really think ties into the theme of Urinetown, and I think that's really exciting.
Yes, the invitation is just went out to a number of organizations on the Cape. I won't mention their names until we hear back from them and know that they're going to participate. But if there's anyone listening out there from any groups that advocate for clean water or initiatives that protect our natural resources, we would love to hear from you. And it's an opportunity to put information out there for the public to take a look at and figure out what we can do on a daily basis to help preserve clean water on Cape Cod. Again, the show is a comedy. It doesn't take itself very seriously, but deep down, there is this real important message of how important water is, and we know that that's an issue here on the Cape.
Definitely.
Sure. The Blue Economy Project is just getting off the ground, and in some small way, doing this show is our effort to help support those efforts.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about when the performances will be, because it's going up in April, the very beginning of April. So let's talk about that.
So the show opens on April 5th. It's a Thursday, and we have a little bit of a unique run schedule. So we'll have shows that first weekend, Thursday, Friday, and then 2 shows on Saturday. And then for the second and third weekends, we just have Friday night and then a Saturday matinee and a Saturday evening show. No Sunday shows. We're hopeful, crossing our fingers, that by then spring will have sprung.
Yes.
And again, tying into the underlying message of this play and its environmental concerns, we're hoping people will get outside and spend time outside, and save your Sundays for that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Vonna, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that's going on at the Tilden Arts Center that you want to let our viewers be aware of?
Sure. Well, looking ahead to May, we're very happy to be hosting Payamet Center for the Performing Arts and Cotuit Center for the Arts in a joint venture to bring Roger McGinn to the Tilden Arts Center. So that's a fabulous concert coming up on May 5th. And then in June, we'll be hosting brand new Cape Cod concerts, and one of their first shows on the Cape, where we will have Mark Cohen on the Tilden Arts Center stage. So it's going to be a busy spring. If you have any desire to check out what's happening at the Tilden Arts Center, you can go to capecod.edu/events, and it'll list all the things that are going on at the college.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. My guest today is Vonna Trudeau. She's the Tilden Arts Center coordinator at Cape Cod Community College. Jen, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you were just here a few weeks ago, but now that the new schedule has officially been approved by the school committee, I wanted to have you back in to kind of go a little bit more into it and talk about some of the changes. The first thing I want to talk about is one of the biggest changes is the 7 selection student schedule. So the students are going to be able to have 7 courses that they are taking. And one of the most interesting things I found about it was there's going to be a new thing. Classes are going to be offered by semester.
Right.
So it'll be like a half-year course, which I think is really interesting. What can you say about the 7 courses in the semesters?
Sure. So this is something that we've been working towards for 6 or 7 years now, and based on research we've done with colleges and other high schools, and student needs and students as well. We really felt that it was really important that students be able to choose 7 courses. And so some of the traditional courses will be full year, English, math, a lot of those languages will be full year courses, but we are also able to offer a lot more, like you said, semester courses. So we were able to just really increase the diversity of our program of studies, kind of, deepen and expand our offerings for students. So we're really able to meet the diverse needs of all of our students. The counselors have just started scheduling students for next year, and it's been really exciting because this, for the first time since I've been at Barnstable High School, kids are really excited about their schedules for next year because they really get to tailor it towards their interests and their needs, and they're taking all kinds of amazing courses to challenge themselves and to really meet their needs. So it's a great opportunity for students.
Wonderful. I know one of the changes that's happening is that they're now going to be on a 6-period schedule, and while they're taking 7 courses, so not every class is going to meet every day, but there are some extended period classes that are, I think, 74 minutes long, and there's 50-minute classes and 55-minute classes. So it's really going to give them a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah, and it's not, it's interesting because the schedule, it's not that different than our current schedule. Right now we have a 6-period schedule, so it's a 6 drop 1. So Students have 5 classes per day. Next year they're going to have 6 classes per day, and they'll drop 1 or 2 each day, and it's a set five fixed day schedule.
Interesting. I know one of the big changes that kind of brought this forward was the Mass Core requirements. I'm going to go over those real quick because I find them very interesting. Mass Core is going to require, and as of class of 2020, they will be fully integrated into the system. So the Mass Core requires 4 years of English and math, 3 years of a lab-based science, 3 years of history, 2 years of the same language, 1 year of arts, and then the 5 additional core courses. So this kind of helps you bring that full Mass Core requirement into Barnstable High School.
Right. So we slowly integrated Mass Core each year. We increased the Mass Core requirements for each grade, and as you said, with the class of 2020, it'll be fully integrated. So students were meeting the Mass Core requirements, but it was limiting their other options, and so we were just producing more and more homogeneous schedules, and that wasn't really meeting the students' needs for when they were in high school and for when they leave. Colleges want to see students who who are very diverse and have a broad range of experiences, and businesses and employers do too. So we weren't really meeting the needs of our students. So that was one of the reasons we were really been advocating for the 7-period schedule.
It'll produce a more well-rounded student.
Right, exactly, and meet their individual needs, and that's really what we want to do.
Wonderful. Part of this, having the expanded schedule, is there's a few things that are able to happen. There's going to be SAT prep, which will be offered as a course, which I think, and it'll be free. I mean, right now you can get SAT prep. It's after school. You have to pay extra money for it. So the fact that there'll be a course available for students for SAT prep, I think that's just amazing.
We are very excited about it. The school counseling department and the department leaders are very excited about that, to be able to really make sure our students are really prepared for the SAT. Most of the research shows that student scores increase with some kind of prep. And if we can provide that opportunity for our students, that really helps to support their options when they leave high school.
SAT is such a core part of high school, and if you're continuing your education afterwards. So I think it's great that all the students at Barnstable High School will have the option to have that a little bit of a leg up when they go to take their SAT. Another thing that's changing this year is DECA, which I know has expanded and had grown over the past few years. It's a club, and now you'll be able to offer courses that support the DECA club, which is kind of like a business entrepreneurship type of club.
Right. I mean, and that club has just grown exponentially. It's super popular, and our students are doing really amazing things at the competitions and doing great. But in order to have that club, with a national organization, we had to have courses to support that. And so they were kind of letting us do that without the courses in place. But now we're going to have entrepreneurship and marketing. We have economics and finance already in place. So we had some courses, but we really needed to expand those offerings for students in order to be able to maintain our membership with DECA.
It's amazing that a club kind of steered the course, adding courses in, because, and the kids, I remember Sarah Mantle, who used to work here, her daughter Emma was so involved in DECA and would just absolutely loved it, and it really, fostered the excitement that she had for that kind of work. So I think it's so great that you've responded to that need, that want, because the club is grown, and I know our intern Mackenzie has talked about, how because she's also involved in DECA. I mean, it's like, I don't think there's a kid that I've met recently that isn't involved in DECA. There's so many students that are taking part in that. So I love that response was made to support that.
It's exciting. It really is.
It is. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Project Lead the Way, because I know that's also part of this new course offerings and it kind of supports all of this.
Right. So last year we applied for and received a grant for Project Lead the Way in engineering. And Project Lead the Way is a national curriculum, a national program, and it's connected with College Board and AP. And so it's rigorous curriculum, and it is very structured, And we have our first class that is running this year of Introduction to Engineering Design. And then next year, those students will be able to take the next course, which is Principles of Engineering. And then we've also added another pathway of Project to Lead the Way, which is in computer science. So students will have the opportunity to take computer science essentials, and then all of those courses lead to different branches of those particular areas. So students, after these engineering classes, they can go into mechanical engineering or environmental engineering, other types of engineering. And the students who do the computer science path can go on to other types of computer science, and including AP computer science. So, and Project Lead the Way is a program that is recognized and valued by colleges. So, when we have that on our transcripts, they certainly know what it is and know that students have received quality and rigorous instruction.
Wonderful. Yep. I think all of these changes are just really setting up Barnstable students to just, and Barnstable High School to be, desirable. Students will become desirable to colleges, right. And Barnstable High School will become desirable to students coming to Barnstable High School. There's so many choices now in the Cape, and I think all of these changes are going to make Barnstable High School really stand out because of school choice, and there's so many options to the students who already live in the town. So I'm really excited to hear all about all these new changes, and I hope everything goes extremely well.
Thanks, Sarah. We're really excited too. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and talking to us about
welcome.
This today.
Right.
My guest today is Jen Clark. She's the School Counseling Department Head at Barnstable High School. Now it's time for our community calendar. The Barnstable High School Drama Club presents their spring production of She Loves Me. Considered by many to be the most charming musical ever written, She Loves Me is a warm, romantic comedy with an endearing innocence and a touch of old-world elegance. Performances continue this weekend with shows on March 23rd and 24th at 7 p.m. and a matinee at 2 p.m. on the 24th. For more information or to buy tickets, visit bhsdc.org. The only meeting left on the schedule is Town Council. Town Council is holding a joint workshop on recreational marijuana with the Board of Health tonight at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall hearing room. That meeting will also air live right here on Channel 18. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new episode of Barnstable Today. On Friday's show, we'll talk with Recreation Program Coordinator Melanie Memo. We'll take you inside the Barnstable Youth Commission 7th Grade Youth Summit, and we'll get an update from Natural Resource Officer Chris Nappy. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.